Hello to my congregation and some other people who are probably watching through the Facebook, through the camera. I think my grandparents are probably watching right now. Is that right? I'm Akiva Lev Tepperman. Akiva Lev O'Leary Tepperman. There's a mom in that name too. So initially when thinking about this, I was thinking of and talking to Rabbi Ariane a little bit about doing something more about my own creativity and how I create things. And I'm not that much of an artist, but it just sort of came out to I don't know how I create things really. And maybe I could have spent some more time exploring that, but I got interested in some other ideas, so I'm going to tell you those other ideas. So here's the Devarlet. We've looked out into the universe and we've seen many beautiful objects, from marbles of every size and every material to glowing balls of light. But despite it being what we are most eager to find, we have yet to see a single place, not a trace of a place, with as much creativity and creative diversity as the place that we have been so fortunate to have found ourselves. We are special. This is 1 in a million. This is 1 in 0.0000 something or other in a million. We have every form of creation here on earth. Creation by chance, creation by deliberation, creation out of necessity, creation just because we like it. Those things out in space, the craters on the moon, the constellations, they have no soul but what we can give to them. And even so, you look at that man in the moon maybe once a week. However, we're fascinated by the things made by creatures. We look at those things all the time. Whether you're interested in technology or literature or the wilderness, or even if you just read a lot of scientific papers, these are all things created by and heavily under the influence of the creatures of Earth. The creatures of Earth are the only creatures we know of in the universe, and we've searched hard. Not only are we the creatures of Earth the only creatures we know of, but each and every one of us shapes and creates this Earth. Even the most destructive living things carve out the shape of what the earth will be. Sometimes the way those creatures shape the earth is tragic because we lose many unique and precious things. At this moment, we as a species are one of those animals causing us to lose unique and precious things. Humans are not only destroying other creatures and destroying the creations of those other creatures, but we are also destroying our own creations and limiting our own creativity. But we are also maybe the only living things who are capable of consciously deciding how we want to create the world and deciding to shape the world. Other creatures make nests, perform rituals, and have their place in the ecosystem. But while they are just doing what was passed down to them, we have the choice and the forethought to decide in what direction we want to shape the world. At this moment, we have the luxury of power to do this via the consciousness, resources, knowledge, and organization we have created. However, we do not have the luxury of time. We're running out of time. We don't have another decade to make the drastic changes needed to make a world flourishing with creativity, where animals, plants, and every person can be creative and free. We're already facing the consequences, and those consequences will grow to an an apocalyptic scale in just a few short years. If we don't take action now, you or the people you care about may die. If they live, they will not get to focus their creativity on what they choose. whether that be art, science, or something in between, whatever. They will have no choice but to use their creative power only for survival, like rebuilding their home after yet another natural disaster. I think that part of what we have to do is change our mentality about how we are living and how we allow each other to live. We have developed a culture of dedicating our lives to work, to the extent that if you don't work for long enough and very dependent on your class, you lose a place to live, the right to eat, the right to shelter. You even lose your right to be out in public without being under the threat of violence. When we think about how we all might lose our homes, our supply of food, our space for creativity, I think it is important that we acknowledge the mentality that has brought us to this emergency of an apocalyptic scale is the same that is already causing many people to have only the option to work for their survival. A culture where we deplete people, where we treat them like resources that we can just keep extracting work from. But people are children of the earth. Like we talk about humans being created in the image of God. We are created in the image of earth. Like Rabbi Ariane said last night, we are Adam, created from the earth. We create just like the earth creates. We are a limited resource, just like the earth. We have to create a world where the extraction of resources to the greatest extent possible from people, the planet, animals, and plants is considered blasphemous. Because it is. We can't allow these creators to be treated like unlimited resources, up for the taking, any longer. Listen, what I'm talking about here is equal rights. When I say that, I mean that nobody has the right to own so much more power than most people to create and shape this world. Everyone should have the equal right to choose how to be creative, to choose how to use their time, to choose how they want to use their life in this world. No one should be allowed to have so much power over our planet. I think that most people know that. But the people who do choose to exert their power through their wealth and corporations repeatedly have harmed the ability of others to be creative and the earth's ability to exist as a creative place. So they hoard time, they hoard resources, and they hoard the ability to be creative. And they will and are destroying the earth in the process of that hoarding. They are destroying people because it seems they believe that only they should have the power to be creative and the power to shape the world. But we here in our community, we have power too. We have our voices and our bodies and our spaces and our material resources. And we've got to put what we have on the line if we intend to save this beautiful creative space for many more generations of humans and creatures to enjoy. Listen, like this world was passed down to you, and you have the responsibility to pass it on to the people who are living today and the people who will live in the future. Hold on. I'm almost done. Yeah, so this world was passed on to you. You have to reckon with your responsibility to preserve a world for these current and future generations to flourish in. We have to create a new world because the one we have created has torn our souls to shreds and has literally turned the skies red. And the floods we have seen are just the beginning. Like in the story of Noah, the floods anticipated will cover the lands. And that's the ending.